Jeff Bodine leads the Busch 500 at Bristol International Raceway. There is his wife keeping the lap charts in the pit area for Jeff. Second position is Terry Labonte, then Darrell Waltrip, and Dale Earnhardt. Those 4 cars on the lead lap. A lap down in 5th is Alan Kulwicki, then Harry Gant, Richard Petty. In 8th position, 2 laps down, is Tim Richmond. 9th, also 2 laps down, Bobby Allison. 10th is Tommy Ellis. In 11th position is Dave Marcus. 12th, 3 laps down, Morgan Shepherd. And the number 12 car of Neil Bonnet. That's the way they stand with 334 laps completed. And this is the best race on the track at the moment as Terry Labonte continues to hold off the challenge of Darrell Waltrip for 2nd place. Darrell Waltrip, a 9-time winner here at Bristol, and we ask him about the essence of winning on this racetrack.
What's the essence to being a winner here at Bristol?
Well, the latter stages of this race are so hard on you physically and mentally, and you just got to keep the right attitude. I know you can make up a lot of ground here. I've lost it that way. I've won it that way. So with that in the back of my mind all the time, no matter how far ahead I get, I never get really confident, or no matter how far behind I get, I never get really discouraged, because I know you can make it up. I know you can win the race from a lot of laps down here.
Several drivers who have gone a lap down have made up their laps so far in this race, and now Waltrip and Labonte are catching the leader, Jeff Bodine, and Waltrip making a bid once again in the backstretch, but Labonte just will not give up that 2nd spot, or will he? They're in the 4th corner now, down the straightaway. Labonte still will not give up that 2nd position. Jack Arute.
An interesting sidebar as we watch this battle of Darrell Waltrip and Terry Labonte. When Junior Johnson first mentioned the name Labonte to many of his counterparts, everybody said, well, Labonte doesn't have the killer instinct. He can't go and just battle for a position. Tonight, he may be proving a point at the expense of Junior Johnson himself. Darrell Waltrip is current driver. You know the rumors that are pretty much fact that Labonte will take over the seat next year. Well, maybe he's proving a point to his future owner, and that, of course, they're catching the leader now, Jeff Bodine. Labonte may be trying to prove a point to Junior Johnson.
I think it's just going to be a matter of time before Terry Labonte moves into the lead, because both Labonte and Waltrip have now caught Jeff Bodine, and if Bodine is trying to stretch it to 350 laps, as we heard earlier, he only has 10 more to go.
We are going to see a heck of a race here in a minute if Bodine just won't pit on us. But as soon as Labonte gets to him, I would think that Gary Nelson will bring in Jeff Bodine, because he certainly doesn't have anything to prove by staying out there. What I mean is that if they stay out and start racing, and they were to have a crash or something like that, it'd be crazy, because Jeff Bodine, look, Terry Labonte goes by on the outside, Bodine doesn't even contest him right now.
Bodine about to lose the lead. Here they come down the straightaway, and Terry Labonte does take the lead. Here comes Darrell Waltrip right behind him. Waltrip moves into 2nd. Bodine drops back to 3rd, and now we should be seeing a pit stop, we would think, by Jeff Bodine momentarily. Terry Labonte becomes our 9th different leader of the evening.
Point being here is that they circle the racetrack in about 17 and a half seconds at race speed. Bodine comes in. It's likely he's going to lose a lap. So now that strategy of stopping first underneath the red or the yellow flag for rain begins to not look good.
Well, I don't know. He has led a lot of this race.
Boy, I would think he's got to come in soon, though, because the longer he stays out there, the further away Labonte and Waltrip get. Gives him less and less time to do his work in the pits without losing a lap.
Well, the question is right now is, when did Terry Labonte stop last? I think he stopped at the same time Jeff Bodine did. If that be the case, yes, Bodine probably does need to stop.
Terry Labonte has won one race so far this year. That was in Rockingham.
Waltrip almost lost the car trying to get Labonte off to turn 4 that time.
There is Jeff Bodine running in 3rd position. Now the leaders were timing the lap by Terry Labonte to see how fast they are going. And it is a 17.9 second lap. And that that's about 107 miles an hour.
That is a doggone good lap at this point of the race. At 350 laps into the race, and as many laps as Terry Labonte has been out there with these tires, that's a good lap. Jack Arute out of the pits.
All right, let's update you, Benny. They're getting ready to bring Jeff Bodine in. They're coming up to that 350 mark. To update you on when Terry Labonte's coming in, and we may have a caution coming out. Going to be a break for everyone. He's scheduled to come in on lap 356. But if this slower car of Eddie Bierswell doesn't get off the racetrack, we may have a caution.
What a break this will be for Jeff Bodine, but Bierswell pulls off the racetrack, and so there will be no yellow. Boy, it almost came down to a break for Jeff Bodine, but not so. Bierswell came slowly down the straightaway, but at the end of the pit wall, he pulled off of the racetrack. Now, here is Bodine coming in for the stop. Here's Jack.
So Bodine stakes his way down to the service of Gary Nelson and the Hendrick Motorsport team. They put the jack underneath the right side. They're going to take on right side tires. They're adjusting the wedge of the car behind the driver's head. One tank of fuel has gone in. The second tank being loaded. This will give him enough fuel to go the distance. But the question, of course, will be tires. Only two on the right side, and he's off and away. Now, the next, in 15.9 seconds, but the next guy scheduled to come in just 4 laps is Terry Labonte, your current leader. We'll be back with that in a minute.
Labonte and Waltrip still running right together on the racetrack. Waltrip going low out of the second turn down the backstretch. Labonte, though, holding on to that lead.
A synopsis of Bodine coming in. He went 203 laps before he made that pit stop. He lost a lap when he came in to Waltrip and Labonte. He can go the distance. Will the tires hold up? And will he be able to catch Labonte and Waltrip? Do they have to come in yet? Yeah, we think they do.
The crew stands in readiness for the stop by Terry Labonte. But he elects to stay out there for the moment at least and battle with Darrell Waltrip.
I tell you what, this is... I didn't think Labonte's coming
crash in the front stretch. Or make it Earnhardt. Sorry.
Oh, Earnhardt hitting the wall hard in the main straightaway. Slides to the downside of the track. Almost hits the inside pit wall, but manages to keep it away from there. But Earnhardt had some pretty good contact with the outside wall. He gets the car moving again, though. But this will bring out the caution.
What a break for Labonte and for Waltrip that might have lost the race for Bodine.
That is the story of racing, ladies and gentlemen. Timing. Waltrip and Labonte both come into the pits. Jack Arute is watching the activity.
They go to work on Darrell Waltrip's car to the right side. And on the other side of the screen is Terry Labonte. They've gone to the right side as well. They're going to take on 4 tires with Labonte as well as Waltrip. What a great break for Labonte. Labonte was just 1 lap away from being called into the pits. In fact, Steve Amell was already talking to him on the radio to bring him in. You're seeing Waltrip is down and away first. They pulled away some sheet metal from Terry Labonte's left-hand tires. He's off and away, but it's still a terrific break. More so for Labonte than for Waltrip.
Earnhardt comes into the pit. So does Jeff Bodine. So does Bobby Allison and Richard Petty, Tim Richmond, Neil Bonnet, and Bobby Hillin Jr., while Darrell Waltrip catches up to the rest of the pack coming down the main straightaway. There is the damage done to the Dale Earnhardt car as he had some pretty good contact with the wall here on the main straightaway right at the start-finish line.
I don't think anybody touched him either, Benny. I think he just lost it coming out of turn number 4. Let's take another look at it. Well, we got the end of it. This is after Dale has touched the outside wall. He starts heading down towards the lower wall. You stand on the brakes.
I don't see any car around it that he might have contact with. Maybe he came off the corner, got the car a little bit loose, and went into the wall, but I really don't know. That's strictly guesswork. And the damage to the right front really and truly doesn't look that bad.
We're in our 5th caution period of the evening. Jeff Bodine is still in the pits. They're changing rubber on the left side of the car. Now they send him away. And you're right, Jeff Bodine may have lost this race because of this most recent caution period. Yellow because of Dale Earnhardt's crash on the main straightaway. Back with more right after this. In the Junior Johnson-owned Budweiser Chevrolet leads this Busch 500. And some statistic on Junior Johnson's record at Bristol as a car owner. He's won 8 of the last 12 races. He has more wins as a car owner here than any other short track, 20. And Junior also has a victory here as a driver. And there is Junior watching from the pit area. His drivers, Darrell Waltrip, who is leading, and Neil Bonnet, who was in contention for a while but is no longer.
The second leading car owners team of all time, Holman and Moody. Third is Petty Engineering. When you think of Holman and Moody, what's the first thing, Benny, that pops into your mind? Fred Lorenz?
Fords.
Fords, yeah. Fords, yeah.
Light on the pace car is out. We'll be going back to green on lap number 362. We only have 2 cars on the lead lap, number 11 and 44, Waltrip and Labonte. Harry Gant, right behind Labonte, is a lap down in third. So is Bobby Allison, so is Jeff Bodine, and so is Dale Earnhardt. 2 laps down in seventh is Richard Petty, then Tim Richmond and Alan Kulwicki. Green flag, back out. Racing resumes at Bristol. And the leaders just take off like a shot, especially Darrell Waltrip. Update in the American League baseball scores. Of course, we'll have a complete wrap-up on all today's sports activity on SportsCenter later this evening after we conclude our Winston Cup race here at Bristol.
Do you believe that Boston Red Sox performance the other night? 25 runs? Woo.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Great pitching battle, eh?
Great defensive game, yes. Darrell Waltrip has really opened up the advantage now over Terry Labonte. He's gained almost half a straightaway lead since the green has come back out.
Benny, who do you think has the advantage in this race right now? I don't think Bodine's going to come in anymore. I believe Waltrip has to. What about Labonte? I don't think he'll have to come in. What do you think?
I don't think Darrell Waltrip's going to have to pit again. It looks like Darrell Waltrip right now is going to make shambles of this car race. We've only been back to green 2 or 3 laps. He's driving away.
22 Allison, 33 Gant are battling for position, or third as a matter of fact. They're a lap down to the leaders, and so is Jeff Bodine. He's also involved in this race.
The 44 car of Terry Labonte is holding those cars up just a little bit. I think if Bobby Allison in the 22 could get by, he maybe could catch Darrell Waltrip and do something with him, but he's going to try Labonte on the inside now as he exits turn 4.
Not able to do it, though.
Well, Benny, you're right. I had overlooked the fact that Darrell did come in. I did not see him duck into the pits during one of those caution flags. All those people running in the top 5 have been in. So at this point, Allison, Gant,
Yellow.
Bodine.
Car in the wall, turn 2, DK Ulrich.
I was going to say what they need is a yellow, but they need a yellow when they're in front of Darrell, not when Darrell's out front, high, wide, and handsome like that.
Darrell's going to accelerate. He's not going to let Bobby Allison, Harry Gant, Jeff Bodine get that lap back.
I'm not sure there was wall contact by Ulrich, but he did spin over there in the second turn. It brings out the yellow flag.
There was not wall contact.
No.
He just went down the front straightaway. There was no damage to the automobile.
Right, no coach work damage being shown on that number 6 machine, but the yellow does come out once again. And the word is that Terry is not happy. Labonte is not happy with his car and is going to be making a pit stop. Here comes Harry Gant in. So is Tim Richmond and Dale Earnhardt. And we'll wait to see if Terry Labonte comes in next time around. Neil Bonnet also coming in for a change of tires. It was a quick stop for Tim Richmond, and he's back out there already. And now the work completed on the Harry Gant machine. He's going back out on the racetrack. They continue to work on the Dale Earnhardt car, but it's more than just changing the tires. Now they finally get the work done, and Dale Earnhardt goes back onto the racetrack. Neil Bonnet is the only one remaining in the pit area, and now the work on his car is complete.
I don't think Earnhardt liked the 4 tires he had on the car. I don't think he liked the stagger situation that was on there because he was not able to keep up with those lead cars. He was dropping back. Therefore, he stopped, changed all 4 tires so that he could get the change of stagger more to his liking.
You know, the dog days of summer, in a way, we're in the dog laps of this race. 500 laps. We've got more than 100 laps to go, 130 laps. And I think to keep in mind specifically at this point, the cars and drivers that are only 1 lap down, they're the ones that have a chance of getting back into this. Gant, Allison, Bodine, and Earnhardt, all 1 lap down.
374 laps will be complete when they come down. And we'll be back with more of our live coverage in a moment here on ESPN.
Quickly with Steve Himmel, you elected not to bring him in. What's the story?
Well, there's only 2 cars in the late lap, and we actually run better as the race goes on. On new tires, we push a little bit, but Darrell's awful good anyway. I don't know if we can do a whole lot with him.
But just remember, guys, it ain't over till it's over.
It sounds like Steve may be saying Waltrip, at least at the moment, appears to have this race in the bag.
It looks like Darrell Waltrip is the class of the field. In watching it is. But, hey, you've got some good cars back there. Earnhardt, Harry Gant, 25. Bobby Allison. Bobby Allison on the inside of Darrell Waltrip. We're going to see a race right now, guys.
And anything can happen on this racetrack. This race is far from over. Although Waltrip is the superior machine at the moment, there are a lot of laps to be run. And the green comes back out. We resume action.
See those sparks from Darrell when he went into turn 1, turn 2? Tell me he wasn't standing on a corner, or standing on the button rather, trying to push that gas pedal right through the floor as he went into those banks. He's trying to get out there. He is not conceding this race to himself. You heard him earlier on this broadcast in a taped interview saying, hey, I've had those leads at Bristol. I've been behind at Bristol. I am never confident when I'm up front, and I never give up when I'm behind because things happen so quick.
Battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Number 3, Dale Earnhardt, despite the fact that he crashed here on the main straightaway, is still out there, a lap down, though, in 5th. And then Harry Gant is in 6th in the number 33 car. And Gant had the inside advantage there for the moment, but gave it up.
Harry Gant just could not handle well enough on the bottom of the racetrack to make the pass on Earnhardt. Meanwhile, Tim Rich was trying to pass Harry Gant, the 25.
See the damage there on the front end of Dale Earnhardt's car as a result of that incident with the wall down here in the main straightaway. But it is not affecting the operation of that car, it seems, at all. Now Gant once again making a bid to the low side, still unable.
What Harry's going to do, he's going to try it a few times on the bottom of the racetrack, a few times on the bottom of the racetrack, and then he's going to try to drive by Earnhardt on the outside.
Cat and mouse game on the high banks. Waltrip continues to be the leader. You see the sparks coming from the underneath side of that car because of the bottoming out.
Right behind Darrell Waltrip is Bobby Allison, and Jeff Bodine and Terry Labonte are side by side.
There is Jeff Bodine. He may have gotten a good combination of tires and stagger, and is trying to gain the lap back. He did lose a lap and is running lap down to the leaders in 4th position, but appears to be running well now in that Levi Garrett Chevy. Neil Bonnet has gotten out of the number 12 car. Jack Arute can fill us in.
Well, Kyle Petty has replaced Neil Bonnet at the wheel of the Budweiser Kentucky Fried Chicken number 12. What took you out of the race, Neil?
Jackie, that's the same seat that was in the car when I had the wreck in Pocono, when I broke my ribs, and it's gouging me right in the very same place. Felt like every lap somebody sticking a knife in my ribs. I didn't get hot or that tired. It's just a pain, and I had to get out.
And so Kyle's in the car now.
Yeah, Kyle's in right now.
And that's a big break for Kyle Petty. He has always, throughout his career, wanted a chance to drive a Junior Johnson automobile. He's got it tonight.
Kyle Petty was the very first driver out of the race. His number 711 Ford gave up the ghost very early in the going, and he's been just standing around in his pits since then, but now gets the opportunity to relief drive for Neil Bonnet. There is Darrell Waltrip continuing to lead. And Terry Labonte is in second position in car number 44. Jeff Bodine is a lap down. At number 5.
Terry Labonte in the Piedmont Olds, and Jeff Bodine in the Levi Garrett Exxon Chevrolet. Chevrolets populated this field more than anybody else. You see the average speed down to 82 miles an hour after 390 laps. Obviously, that long yellow for rain really slowed the speed down. There were 10 Chevys that qualified for this race tonight, including the first, second, fifth, 8th, and 10th fastest. So 5 of the 10 were in the top 10. There were 7 Fords and 7 Pontiacs, 3 Buicks, and 3 Oldsmobiles. Now, Chevys, which Jeff Bodine is in, have dominated the middle section of the Winston Cup Series. Bodine looking low on Labonte again. They have won 7 of the last 10 races after there were 6 different manufacturer marks who graced victory lane to begin the 1986 season.
When we watched the beginning of this race, and you were with us at the beginning of this race, you saw all the cars on the bottom of the racetrack. That's called the groove. The fastest way around the racetrack, that's called the groove. Jeff Bodine in the 5 automobile, he's running where all the cars were running at the beginning. Right now, they're all running where the 44, the blue and white Oldsmobile of Terry Labonte, they're all running up there. That's how much the groove has changed since the beginning of the race.
A week from tomorrow, we'll be on the high banks of Darlington International Raceway for the Southern 500. Benny, you'll be in that race. Sure would like to bring home a win in that one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I sure would. And there goes Bodine on the inside. You know, at the Atlanta Invitational back in May, I was able to talk to you guys from the victory lane, and it's a great place to talk to you, let me tell you.
Better than sitting up here?
Better than sitting up here.
Oh, come on.
Southern 500, one of the premier stock car races for NASCAR, next Sunday afternoon live from Darlington International Raceway. And the day before that, on Saturday, a week from today, we will have a Grand National race from Darlington, and that is always one of the most exciting races of the entire season on ESPN.
And for those of you who like to follow Indianapolis cars, also next week we'll be at the Mid-Ohio Race Course near Mansfield, Ohio, Lexington, Ohio, where Bobby Rahal will try to defend the honor of the Truman family and try to uphold the standard bearer and maybe win another IndyCar race. Of course, we resume that great points battle with this year the family Andretti seemingly heading it up, whereas last year, of course, the family Al Unser were the people who were the standard bearers there.
Terry Labonte is in second position in number 44, and Jeff Bodine is fourth in number 55. Bobby Allison in car number 22 is in third position. That's the car right ahead of Terry Labonte. Labonte and Darrell Waltrip, the only 2 cars on the lead lap, and Waltrip now with about a half a straightaway or perhaps even a 3/4 of a straightaway lead on Terry Labonte.
We've talked about Labonte and Bodine and Waltrip, of course. Bodine with laps down. Run down for you some of the other cars that have remained out all night long. Eddie Burschwall is still on the racetrack. The 3 car of Earnhardt, of course. The 8 of Bobby Hillin. 12 of Neil Bonnet. 9 of Bill Elliott, 67 Buddy Arrington, the 18 car of Tommy Ellis in the top 10. There you see Tim Richmond doing battle with Richard Petty. They are battling in the top 10. Alan Kowicki, Rusty Wallace is back out, Joe Ruttman back up to speed, D.K. Ulrich, Michael Waltrip, the 71 car of Dave Marcus. He's been in the top 10 most of the night, and Bobby Allison.
This is the battle for 7th position. Richard Petty and Tim Richmond, they are really going at it. Both cars 2 laps down, but they're fighting as if it is for all the marbles. You can see some damage there on the left front of the Richard Petty car.
That happened very early on when Rusty Wallace missed the shift or his transmission broke on in turn 1. Richard ran to the back of him. But it doesn't seem to affect the way the car's handling on the racetrack.
And Tim Richmond, looks like his streak of finishing either first or second is not going to be continued here tonight, as Tim has had numerous problems in that Folger-sponsored Chevrolet number 25.
They run together 2 laps down, and not only are they those 2 laps down, but they're also about half a lap behind, and Joe Ruttman's slowing dramatically here in the front stretch, but they run about a half a lap behind on the racetrack from the leader, Darrell Waltrip. And Waltrip, by the way, has put distance between himself and the second running car on the track, which is Bobby Allison, 1 lap down. Allison still holds a bit of an advantage over Terry Labonte, but Allison, or rather Waltrip, has got himself in a position where lots of smooth sailing. There's distance between the car behind him as well as the one in front of him.
And here is the battle for 5th position. Dale Earnhardt in number 3 and Harry Gant in number 33. Both cars working the top portion of the racetrack.
They go around Marcus in the Helen Ray car, Birchwall in the number 17 car, the Roger Hemby machine, which Pancho Carter has been in a couple times, talking about Indianapolis car drivers. But right now it's Gant and Earnhardt in the spotlight, 5th place and 6th place. All threes, 3 threes, 3 trays up there.
Tell you what I'm thinking about right now. We talked about it earlier on in the show. Dale Earnhardt, car 3 in the Wrangler Chevrolet. He's leading the Winston Cup right now. Darrell Waltrip is 2nd. And we talked about Darrell Waltrip always making his charge at this time of the year. Whatever happens tonight, I think Darrell Waltrip served notice. He's going to be a factor before this year's over.
If the race were to end right now, Waltrip would gain 20 points and shrink Dale Earnhardt's Winston Cup point lead to 121.
If Harry Gant can get by him, that would be 25 points. Harry took a look on the inside, but these cars are so hard now to pass on the inside, which just a couple hours ago was the fastest way around the racetrack.
We are less than 100 laps from the finish. We are 89, as a matter of fact, from the checkered flag, as 411 laps have been completed. The lead is held by Darrell Waltrip. Terry Labonte in 2nd place, the only other car on the lead lap. We'll be right back. Back at Bristol International Raceway, where Darrell Waltrip continues to set the pace. Running with him on the track is Joe Ruttman in car number 26, the Kenny Bernstein-owned Quaker State machine. And this is the battle for 5th. Dale Earnhardt and Harry Gant. These guys have been running nose to tail and side by side for numerous laps, but Harry just can't seem to get the job done.
Just can't get it. He can get alongside Dale Earnhardt, but again, Earnhardt on the outside of the racetrack. When they come off the corner, Earnhardt squirts away from him.
The Winston Cup points leader. There you can see he has 3 wins this year in Winston Cup competition.
The two of them are about half of the track distance behind leader Darrell Waltrip, who was just, by the way, tiptoed through the tulips, got through about 5 or 6 lap prepping cars. Harry Gant still trying the inside of Earnhardt. They're having a real good show of it out there, having a lot of fun out there. You with us last night, you heard Earnhardt say how much fun he has here at Bristol International Raceway, and he's having some fun right now. Harry Gant has shown him how to have fun out there. Again, they are not only the lap down, but about half of the track distance behind Waltrip, who having things going his own way right now. No problem.
Larry, let me tell you something. If Dale Earnhardt told you last night he was having fun, he lied to you. Because I tell you what, he's not having fun right now. Harry Gant is too close, and it's 5 points. Dale Earnhardt knows how valuable that is. He wants Harry Gant to be completely out of the rearview mirror.
Darrell Waltrip's lead is 3.36 seconds on Terry Labonte. Again, Allison running 3rd and Jeff Bodine is 4th. This is the battle for 5th position. Earnhardt and Harry Gant. Earnhardt's machine is all battered and tore up, and Harry's doesn't appear to have any paint missing from it at all.
I wish that we could graphically show for you or take the racetrack right into your living room at home. This is about the best we can do, but to give you the feeling, the emotion of a 35-degree bank. The television camera flattens it out. Even though you see the numbers boldly on the roof of the car, you say, yeah, we can tell it's a high bank racetrack. This track is banked higher than both Daytona and Talladega. Just try to walk up a 35 or 36-degree bank, and it's almost impossible. It's a very dramatic racetrack. If you've never seen it, boy, I would encourage you just to come down here. Even if you're on vacation sometime, you don't have to hit one of the Winston Cup or stock car weekends. It's an exciting racetrack just to be inside of.
And Larry Carrier, the owner of this racetrack, has just done a tremendous job in making improvements here. He has added grandstands on the backstretch in the 4th turn, and it is just a delightful place to come and watch a race from. The interval between 1st and 2nd position, as we told you, it's just about 3 1/3 seconds. There is Terry Labonte in the number 44 Oldsmobile, running second to Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip entering turn number 1, and Labonte now moving into turn number 1. You know, Darrell Waltrip mentioned a word in the very opening of the show, dizzy. Now, we had a chance to get out here in our cars the other night, on Thursday night, as we were trying to get the lights adjusted. And I was running hot laps, Benny. I'll bet I was going at least
You're being
65.
kind to yourself.
I'll bet I was going at least 65 to 70 miles an hour. And that did become a factor with me. I got dizzy out there going around in a circle that fast. And, you know, that was only about half as fast as these guys are going.
I don't really think it was the circle that made you dizzy. I think it was the bumps, the up and down while going through the turn, while going around in a circle. But it had not been for the bumps, I don't think that you would have gotten dizzy. But we see the Darrell Waltrip car and several of these cars sparking as they go into the turn. They're bottoming out. That means that the suspension of the car is dragging the racetrack, and that's because of the bumps. And I think that's what caused it. Bill Elliott, car 9, right behind Darrell Waltrip. And Bill, as you mentioned earlier on, stopped for about 70 laps to make a mechanical adjustment on his car.
Bill Elliott, the winner last weekend in Michigan, not a factor all night. Well, Bobby Allison has had something go wrong with his car. He's just scraped the wall and is now slowing down as he goes down the backstretch.
Joe Ruttman goes by, Kowicki, 27, and Rusty Wallace. There go Earnhardt and Gant, Dave Marcus to the inside, and here comes Allison into the pits.
He was running in 3rd position when this problem occurred. Let's go to Jack Arute, who's there in the Bobby Allison pit.
Bobby Allison locks the wheels up momentarily as he comes to rest here for service to the Stavola brothers entry. They're going to the right side, as that's the side they've got up against the wall, scraping the tires. We'll wait to see if the tires come back around to see which one of them actually was flat. The right rear is okay, but it's the right front. It's obvious that the right front went flat on Bobby Allison.
Allison gives up that 3rd position, and we are only now about 67 laps from the end of this race.
A few moments ago, we gave you a rundown of the people still out there. We can give you an unofficial breakout now of where they are positioned on the racetrack. Bodine 4th, Earnhardt 5th, Gant 6th. Allison will now move back to 7th, 2 laps down. 8th is the 25 car of Tim Richmond. 9th, 2 laps down is Richard Petty. In 10th position, 3 laps down, Bobby Helen. 11th is Alan Kowicki. Then followed by Tommy Ellis. These are 6 laps down or more. Tommy Ellis, Neil Bonnet, Joe Ruttman, Michael Waltrip, and Dave Marcus.
There we see Bobby Allison. Here he comes off the corner. Jeff Bodine right behind him. The right front tire goes flat. Bobby comes up, hits the wall. We see Bodine going by. Bobby Allison went in the pits, changed the right front tire, which was flat, but he has knocked the front end out of alignment. He's not able to get his Buick back up to speed. Therefore, they're just simply driving away from him.
This is Bristol, Tennessee, and in case you're wondering, for all of you Northerners and West Coasters, yeah, the drought in here too, although it's rained a lot in the last 10, 14 days. And Benny, as a matter of fact, when we flew in here on Thursday, there were so many lush forests and hills, I couldn't find the airport. It didn't look like there was enough room. There wasn't enough flat land to make an airport to land an airplane.
This is very hilly country. This is just in the crest of the Appalachian Mountain Range.
Trying to establish an interval between 1st and 2nd. About 15 laps ago, it was 3.3 seconds. And I believe it's a little bit more than that right now. So Waltrip is still stretching it out. We'll get the clock on Waltrip this time to see if it has increased from that 3 1/3 second. Yep, it's more than 4 seconds now. So Waltrip has pulled out to about another second advantage over Terry Labonte.
The thing that strikes me, if you look back at Darrell Waltrip historically, chances are, Benny, he's probably not revealing his entire hand even. He really has a superior machine, I think, right now.
Well, I think that Darrell Waltrip right now, why does he have to run so hard? He's just trying to get to lap 500 because, hey, it's not been a great year for Darrell Waltrip. At this point of the season, he's accustomed to have won 5 races. So far, he only has 1 victory to his credit.
And it's just a little bit more on that second check of the interval. Went from 4.4 to 4.6.
Only 1 victory so far for Waltrip, but in the 19 races up till tonight, he had 15 top 5 finishes. The only races he finished out of the top 10 at 27th at Martinsville, both of the Talladega races, and he failed to finish the very first Pocono race. But ironically, listen to this, he's had 1 first, 2 seconds, 3 thirds, 4 fourths, and 5 fifths. Looks like he may be breaking that little pair up, or that quintet up tonight.
Bill Elliott continues to run on the racetrack, and Jack Arute asked him about driving on the short racetracks.
Well, what does Bill Elliott's short track book for Bristol say?
It says, don't go. No, it isn't that bad. You know, I've run pretty well here. I know the racetrack. I know pretty much what I want. I don't normally get what I want out of the race car, but, you know, I've got a good idea of what I need to do to run well here. But still, yet, you got to survive. That's one thing that we've not had a good luck on the short track. Seems like where there's been an accident or something going wrong, I've been right in the middle of it. So, you know, you got to come here. You got to run well. You got to survive and be there at the end.
Now, Bill Elliott's problem tonight was not being involved in an accident. It was a mechanical problem that dropped him about 70 laps off the pace. So his problems at this racetrack continue. The string will continue. He will not finish on the lead lap.
But I tell you, Bob, the Bill Elliott Coors Ford this time ran better than it has been. Don't you think? Don't you think he was a little more competitive than we've seen here before?
Oh, absolutely.
Remember that last year when he came here, he had never led 1 lap on a short track. And when he was going after the Winston Cup last year, he managed to lead a lap on one of those caution flags when everybody was pitting. And he ran competitive here at Bristol last year. You know, I think a factor on that is, Benny, that Bristol is a short track, but it's as close to a super speedway short track as you're going to find.
It sure is, because the speed here is extremely fast. Bill Elliott right now at that point of the race is probably running 140 miles an hour going into that corner, and that's fast. I don't care if it is a half-mile racetrack.
Not only has Bill not too great a record here, but quite honestly, his record on short tracks not all that favorable. He has finished on the lead lap on short tracks only twice in his career, and both have been at North Wilkesboro in 1983 and earlier this year.
And it's primarily because of this guy right here. This is the fellow who's been driving for Junior Johnson since 1980 or 81, and he's the fellow who's dominated these short racetracks. We saw where Junior Johnson has won 20 races at Bristol. This guy, Darrell Waltrip, won 7 in a row at this racetrack, and it looks like he might be wanting to start over.
Look at this. It looks like we're backing up the tape and replaying it from about 50 laps ago. These guys are still going at it, Earnhardt and Gant.
And Earnhardt's getting higher and higher in the corner. We see him going in the corner. The last time he was right up against the guardrail. This time not quite as high.
Jeff Bodine still runs in the same lap with these two. He's in 3rd. Jeff, by the way, has, about a 1/3 of a lap lead. He's entering turn 3 and 4 as Earnhardt and Gant are going down the backstretch going into turn 3. So it doesn't look like they're going to be a threat to Bodine, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to be a threat to Waltrip.
It certainly does. And I think Harry Gant might be a threat to the Bodine automobile if he could just get by Earnhardt. But we've been watching him for 50 laps. He hasn't got by. So what's to think he's going to be able to get by in the next 50 laps?
Dale Earnhardt, who was so strong at the beginning of the year, it looked like he was going to make a shambles of the points. He's not the kind of guy to slack off the pace, but I think we're seeing an example of how scientific, how much money is now being infused to Winston Cup racing. Everybody's caught up with him, Benny.
Well, they sure have. Earlier on in the year, Earnhardt could not be beaten. His car was just superior everywhere he went. Right now, Darrell Waltrip has a superior car, and Earnhardt, all they can do to keep Harry Gant behind him. Although Earnhardt does have some damage to his automobile, and I'm sure that he has knocked the front end out of alignment, and it's probably a little bit hard to steer as he goes around the turns.
We have 42 laps to go in this race. 458 have been completed. There's the leader, Darrell Waltrip from Franklin, Tennessee. Last year in this race, he finished 4th, and in the Valleydale 500 earlier this year here at Bristol, he was 3rd. Now what we're going to do is show you everybody else that's running on the racetrack. This is Eddie Bierschwald in car number 17. Earlier, his car appeared to quit running here on the main straightaway. He pulled it off the racetrack, but they made some adjustments, and he is back out there. Also running with him on the racetrack is Tommy Ellis in car number 18.
Eddie Bierschwald is the driver, the young driver from San Antonio, Texas, who came up this year, and it looked like he had made the big break. Looked like he'd landed a big-time sponsor. He came with Kodak, but things just didn't work out. He no longer has the sponsor. Here's Tommy Ellis, who's a graduate of the Grand National Sportsman ranks. Of course, we saw them in action last night. Tommy has a tremendous record in that. He's another fellow who seemed to come up and looked like he was ready to make the big move.
There's Alan Golwicki in a Ford, sponsored by Quincy Steakhouse. As a matter of fact, I got a thing the other day where Alan, the engine in his car is the one he's been using all day. He said it's so tough, we're going to call it sirloin.
Till a tire went down, by the way, about 150 laps to go. Golwicki had stayed on the lead lap. Dave Marcus, Helen Ray racer.
Jeff Bodine passing on the high side, and Terry Labonte, who is in second place, also passing Dave Marcus on the backstretch.
Dave Marcus, who spends the time when he's not running a Winston Cup car as one of the official test drivers for the IROC series. Spends a lot of time working with Jay Signori on that series.
And right behind Dave Marcus is not Neil Bonnet. It's Neil Bonnet's race car, but Kyle Petty has come in relief. We heard Neil tell us a few minutes ago that the ribs that he injured at Pocono, now they're giving him a little problem tonight, so he came out of the car, and Kyle Petty, who was the first out of this race in his Wood Brothers machine, is in for Neil Bonnet. Behind Kyle Petty is the number 67 machine of Buddy Arrington, and on the high side of the racetrack, Bobby Hillin Jr.
Bobby Hillin has been able to keep within a couple laps. Buddy Arrington, by the way, was in one of the worst crashes of his career earlier this year at Pocono. There is Bobby Hillin, the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Mike Potter was standing by in potential relief for Arrington tonight, but Buddy has not called in and said, hey, I need you. Buddy is still driving, and Mike is still watching.
By the way, Bobby is running in 9th position here at this time. He did, of course, win the extremely exciting Talladega race a couple months ago.
Benny, I think that was the biggest story of this year so far in Winston Cup racing, Hillin winning at Talladega.
I think it is. There's no doubt that Hillin went down there. 22 years old, winning the Talladega 500, the fastest racetrack. Sure, that's a story. There's Earnhardt in here again, and guess what? It's been 30 laps since we saw him again. Nothing's changed.
4th and 5th. Earnhardt in 4th, and Harry Gant running in 5th position. There is Dale. And there is Harry. Now we'll continue to move through the back and pick up on Bill Elliott here in the Coors Melling Ford.
Both of Bill's wins in 1986 have come in his adopted home of Michigan, Jackson, Michigan, that is, the Michigan International Speedway. There is Buddy Arrington. There's Marcus again, going down the backstretch. There's Rich. Remember, he lost a couple laps earlier. He was on the lead lap despite a lot of problems in the first couple of 100 laps.
Jim Richmond is in 6th position. Behind him on the racetrack is the number 26 car of Joe Rutman, and Rutman has been in and out of the pits all evening and is not in contention for the win.
Now, he slowed down about 50 or 60 laps ago, and he obviously has made the decision to stay out there and rack up whatever points or whatever money they can for a finishing position. But after running in that lead pack for the first 50 or 75 laps, he got a lap down after one of the rounds of pit stops. The car really dropped off the pace about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, Benny, and Joe just hasn't been able to power up to get up there and get through.
No, he hasn't. It looks like the engine problem is overheated or something, because while he's been running slow on the bottom of the racetrack there, he's also made several pit stops.
By the way, he told me tonight that, yeah, he's actively working. He's got a lot of potential prospects for next year. He's not panicking right now. He feels he's had a long that he can wait perhaps until December to make the decision for next year.
In the very early going of the race, Rusty Wallace looked like he had the momentum to carry him to his second consecutive victory here at Bristol. But then something went wrong with the car, and although he is still out there on the racetrack, Rusty Wallace will not have a victory here tonight. Now there is the leader, Darrell Waltrip, who is approaching Richard Petty, who is running in 7th spot. At the moment, he is 2 laps down, but is about to go 3 laps down, and there it is.
Richard Petty did not want to lose that lap because it gets him out of sync with all the cars that were in the lap with him. Darrell Waltrip, 25 laps to go. He can almost smell that checker flag now.
We'll be back with more in a moment from Bristol. Waltrip hang on for another 19 laps. If he does, he'll win the Busch 500. He has about a 6.5-second lead now on Terry Labonte.
That was his brother, Mike Waltrip, in the 23 that he just passed, and Mike moved over again. There's Mike right behind Darrell. Mike moved over, gave Darrell plenty of room as he went by, because he said, Big brother, I don't want to hit you as you go by.
Big brother is definitely watching. Mike is one of the 2 drivers really in the thick of it for the rookie championship for this year. Alan Kowicki is the other driver. We told you earlier that Kowicki is running in the top 10 about 2 laps down. There's Michael. Michael led Alan by about 10 points approximately in that rookie battle. Mike has been able to run all the races this year. Alan has not been able to run all of them, and that makes the difference. Kowicki, of course, had a 4th place finish this year.
Pushing Tim Richmond here as we go back and find that Earnhardt and Harry Gant still running together on the racetrack, and Jack Arute has some information on the Earnhardt machine.
Well, actually, it's just a point of view, gentlemen, and Benny, I think you can relate to this. Just about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, if a car was in a condition of Dale Earnhardt, the driver would come out of it at the end of 500 laps, and his hands would be just blistered. They'd have to peel them off the steering wheel. But with the advent of power steering, well, it's an assistance source, especially when your car is out of line. So it's not as bad for Earnhardt as it would have been, let's say, back in 1981.
Jack, how true, because power steering is the greatest thing that ever happened at this racetrack. Because of the bank and being banked as steep as it is, it's very, very hard to turn these cars without power steering. Your arms are just wore out once you finish this 500 laps. With power steering, it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but much easier than it used to be.
Well, you know, too, they've always said that Dale Earnhardt is one tough customer. I remember a race he won that we covered where the power steering went out, and he still completed the 500 laps.
That was an unbelievable day when Dale Earnhardt, without power steering, ran this racetrack and won the race on this racetrack. And that's when I believed him. When Wrangler says it's one tough customer, I believe him.
I remember one time when power steering first came out, Bob and Benny, Riley Beale telling me, hey, this is terrific. They just extended my career 5 years.
Well, Darrell Waltrip has now led the most laps. And should he win this race today, and there he is in the lead, he will gain 25 on Dale Earnhardt and will go to Darlington 116 points behind in the battle for the Winston Cup. And the checkered flag will fall in just 9 more laps. There's Junior Johnson, his car owner, watching from the pit area. Darrell Waltrip from Franklin, Tennessee, second in the Winston Cup point standings, has less than 5 laps to go, and he will win the Busch 500 here at Bristol International Raceway. He crosses the stripe and completes lap number 496.
Benny, he has made it look easy. And I want to say it's the Waltrip of old, but it's the Waltrip, a mirror image of the last 5 years.
You're exactly right. You know, he did make it look easy because the first half of the race, it was not easy. It was difficult for him. But the last couple of laps, he's kind of had it his own way, I'll tell you.
You know, it's really unusual. It seemed like there were 4 or 5 guys that were in it, and all of a sudden we had that long 150-lap green flag period after the delay for rain, and somehow Waltrip and Junior Johnson got themselves positioned where they were ahead of everybody in step.
They somehow got all the rest of the cars out of sync, and I'm not sure exactly how they done that.
Stevie Waltrip, his wife, Darrell's wife, watching from the pit area. Here comes Darrell out of the fourth corner. The white flag is being displayed by Harold Kinder, and Darrell Waltrip has one more lap to go. His advantage on Terry Labonte more than 8 seconds. He could coast home from here. He sets the car into turn number 3 on the high side of Mike Waltrip. His brother, and here they come off the fourth corner. It's Darrell Waltrip winning the Busch 500. Terry Labonte crosses the line, finishes in second place. Jeff Bodine is going to be third, a lap down, and then Dale Earnhardt and Harry Gant unofficially in fourth and fifth.
At the top of the show, we said that this seems to be one of the first of the late season races that may be one of the pivotal points in the championship race for the Winston Cup. And I think we saw tonight Waltrip taking a stride.
He'll be 116 points behind Dale Earnhardt going to Darlington next Sunday. We'll be back to Victory Lane in a moment. Has moved himself into victory lane here at Bristol. He's unbuckling and will be getting out of the car in just a moment, and we'll have a chance to talk with him. Meanwhile, we'll review the top 10 finishers unofficially. Terry Labonte finishes second, Bodine third, Dale Earnhardt fourth, and Harry Gant fifth. 6 through 10, Tim Richmond, Richard Petty. 8th was Bobby Allison. 9th was Bobby Hillin Jr., so the Stavola cars finish 8th and 9th, and Alan Kulwicki has a 10th place finish under his belt. Darrell begins to climb out of the car, and let's go now to Jack Arute in victory lane.
Well, Darrell Waltrip is getting out of the car. Darrell, congratulations. Another page in the Bristol record book.
Thank you, Jackie. Got a kink in my knee right now, but I feel great. The car run good, and just want to thank the good Lord for a good, safe race.
Very reminiscent of the runs you've had for so many years here at Bristol behind the wheel of a Junior Johnson car. Just terrific. It looked like it was tight until about the halfway mark, and then, as they say, cream rises to the top.
Let's sit down, Jack.
Well, you can see that let's get down here with Darrell. Like I said,
when the cream gets ready, he'll rise back up to the top, but he ain't ready right now.
It was a physical beating then, huh?
It was a hard race, and I'm tired, and I can't say enough about my crew. My car run great, thanks to Budweiser and Goodyear and Valvoline and Kentucky Fried Chicken and the Lord.
Hey, what about the run for the Winston Cup? Looks like another page the way you did it in 81 and in 82 and then last year.
I think everything's going to be all right, Jack. We get a few more runs in like tonight, and we may just have them going our way.
Well, we'll wait and see. Next stop is Darlington, and we'll be there.
Mother and father on everybody in Franklin. I love all of you.
Well, that's the story from Victory Lane. A little subdued. Darrell's down, but he's not out.
Where Darrell Waltrip has won the Busch 500. Benny?
I think that Darrell Waltrip served notice on Dale Earnhardt and Tim Richmond. He's going to be a factor for the Winston Cup again in 1986.
Larry Nuber.
His 69th career win, Bob. He's now 36 behind David Pearson. Maybe that's the record within sight, second on the all-time list.
And Darrell Waltrip, a very tired race driver after having circled this half-mile racetrack with turns banked at 36 degrees for 500 grueling laps. For now, for Benny Parsons, Jack Arute, and Larry Nuber, this is Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later. So long, everyone.